And hello to everyone. We are super excited to have you here in our session together with Zsófi. We are going to host you, and there's going to be hopefully a lot more people joining us. But as we wanted to start on time, because believe us or not, we have 1,000 things that we prepared we would like to talk about. So we really would like to use our opportunity and this 55 minutes to tell you about the case that we worked together on. Nice legs. Stephen, I don't know if that's what you wanted to show to us. There you are. Nice seeing you also. So my name is Elvira Kalmár. Some of you already know me. Some of you who don't know me, I would probably say that my passion is solution-focused organization development and design. And that's with what I'm spending most of my days with, either teaching it or working with clients or writing books about that. And one of my favorite cases from last year is something what we did together with Zsófi, and I'm going to let Zsófi to introduce herself as well. Which is the case we would like to tell you more about. Zsófi, what would you tell about yourself?
What I would tell about myself, that I'm Zsófia Kishonti. Very nice to meet you all. I'm calling in today from Budapest, where I'm living with my family and where I'm working from for a global organization. So I'm working with a global team of mainly marketing and sales people across everywhere in 50 plus countries. I'm an HR leader, so I'm working in a big multinational company called ABB as a human resources leader, and started to get into solution-focused organizational design. Well, 4-5 years ago, when we first started to meet with Elvira and started to discuss, and ever since also went through my learning process, gained my certification for organizational design, and bringing a lot of this knowledge into the organization the team that I'm working with. And the case that we will be discussing today and sharing with Elvira today is one of these examples where we saw an opportunity, we saw a problem or something that was arising in a group of people working together, and then learning from them and learning from them what is their preferred future. We started to build a proposal and an approach that we are testing ever since. Maybe shortly about me.
And we also very much would like to know what brought you here, but as you can see, more and more people are joining, so we're going to reduce our interaction at the moment to the chat. So you're hearing the session that's titled Bringing AI into the Organization in a Human Way. And please, in the chat, share a little bit with us about yourself. Where are you calling in from, and what brought you to this session? What are your best hopes that you would like to take away from it? So I put the title into the chat, and please share a little bit about your best hopes with us. We realize that with this many people, we're not going to be able to hear each and every one of you. Nati, thank you from Estonia, curious about our practices.
Anything else that you're curious about?
So much urgency by Julia about bringing AI in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so little strategy around it. Absolutely true.
I think we're all struggling with the same problem there. Yes.
Oh, and what has happened and what would you like to have happened? That's a good point, Peter. And maybe also what we did not expect to happen. We would like to cover that as well. How we did it. Learn more about this topic. Stephen from the UK. Super. Stefan?
I mean, as I'm directly involved in those organizational development and artificial intelligence topics, I always say we are the missing link. You know, the coaches between AI, everybody's talking about AI, the product, and on the other hand, they're the humans. And there's a disconnect. And I think we can bridge that gap. And I'm happy to learn what you think and what we can do, because I think this is the biggest challenge, personally, I believe, what we have in the next couple of years.
It's absolutely true. And we were also very, very excited when we started working on this project. And as you heard, so the case is from ABB. And we have a little bit of a plan or a structure. What is it that we would like to share with you in the coming 55 minutes? Mainly focusing on the case, a little bit about the company context and how this topic came up and how did we ended up working with the solution-focused ODD methodology, showing a few principles, what we used in planning the process itself. We would like to show you also the steps, what we actually did, what were the core or main steps. And of course, we would like to share some stories about the outcomes and the impact. You have to know that this is the first time we are talking about this case, so we're not very well practiced yet. What are the things, what are the words to use about it, which is, I guess, also a very human thing. So we are kind of learning this to talk about this case in front of you together with Zsófi. We are very happy if you have questions. Please try to put it in the chat. That helps us to kind of keep the flow of the case sharing, and we're also going to have a look at the chat continuously. I just have to check with Nati. Can you look after the people waiting in the room to come in? Thank you. Super. So Zsófi, a little bit about the background.
Okay, so a little bit about the background. As I already started to introduce, think about a global industrial company, and inside the global industrial company, a group of people who are responsible for selling the products of those company. This is typically an area where AI is supposed to bring a lot of effectiveness, so marketing products and then selling products, keeping in contact with customers, improving processes. So naturally, the need emerged in the organization that, oh my God, AI is here, we need to do something with it. But how to get started and how to do it in a meaningful way. And of course, you can, in this case, think about a top-down approach when somebody is coming in and saying, we have, as one of you said, we're focusing a lot on the product itself. So there are tools available out there that are promising a bright future with a lot of effectiveness, offered by different big companies, and you can just take their package, implement it, go with it. That's one way of looking at introducing AI. But then in our organization, emerged the need that we would like to make this more meaningful. We would like to seek for places in the organization where our existing team already sees the need or the benefit for AI to bring efficiency. But how can we do that? Because we are neither educated on AI, nor we're educated on changing the way we work. And listening to three global leaders who were having similar thoughts on their mind, they had a need to to improve their subject matter expertise. One of them is working in marketing. One of them is working in, we call it sales support. So basically all the processes and tools behind the selling organization. And one of them is working on a segment and channel strategy. So kind of like really looking into some specific segments of the market and how do we sell there. They all had a need to improve the way they are working. They all had a need somehow to introduce AI. And we said, oh, there might be an opportunity here, because as we learned also from solution-focused organizational design, when we change the best is for us to change the processes together with the people. So if we would like to change something in the way we want to work, we want to do it together with the people, and then inviting AI at the table. So I will stop here and then we will explain a bit more on how we were doing that. But the opportunity was really raising from an actual problem of multiple leaders in the organizations that we very carefully listened to, and we said, maybe we have something to do here together. Let's come around the table and let's discuss what this could be with the principle of solution-focused organizational design.
And where I take it over is that the interesting thing here really was that the request came on different levels. So here is the company that would like to use AI. It's also a company where they want to get a complex integrated solution, especially that we all know that when AI comes into the work, then the work of what we are doing is going to change. So AI is not just simply coming in to change some parts of the work, but the other parts of the work are going to change because of that as well. So here's how we came in, or I think we came into the picture also with the organization development and design approach and principles, where we used it not just for designing the process, but we also used it as a skill to hand over to those people who are going to change the work. They have to redesign the work that they are doing when AI is incorporated, and incorporating AI into the redesign process. And just a few things about maybe about the principles of our approach. Because when we work with the solution-focused organization development and design, we focus on supporting the organization in its evolution. So you will see there is no giant transformation here. There is a small pilot project, and Zsófia will explain to us how they have selected out the participants, but we're actually working targeting with AI knowledge around 100, 150 people, and focusing on 20 people who already can identify topics that they would like to change, and they see the potential that AI can be useful in that. We also like to co-create the preferred future. So we don't tell the organization how it should look like when they are using AI, but we ask questions about how would they notice, especially the main stakeholders like Zsófia was talking about, how would they notice that the company has started incorporating in a useful way AI. We also focus on what is already there and what we can build on. And one thing is we can assume that people are not new to using AI. Everybody is using it in some ways already. So one, how can we build on that? Secondly, what can the company build on? And that's especially the motivation of those people who kind of sign up to a program like this, because they're not subject of it, but they are somehow co-creators of it. And we also believe that when we change things in an organization, the work we have to do is changing, and how we are going to change that work is also very important, that it's not designed by a few, but it's actually designed together by the people who have to do this work together. So we like to involve the intelligence of the organization into the process, and that's exactly what we did. So Zsófia, you started the first part of the process with the stakeholders' best hopes.
Yes. So once we identified that there's a possible need, basically we called them together into conversation and starting to investigate on what are their best hopes, what are those areas where they would like to see something changing, in both in the way their organization or their team is working, so what they are doing and what are the outcomes of what they are doing, but also how the people in their organization are working. And based on that, we identified a couple of common areas where we saw that they have common needs, and part of those common areas was that they all needed more autonomous people in their organizations who are able to drive change, who are able to bring people around the table and make agreements together with a group of people about changing the way we work, because they all recognize that they themselves, as an individual leader, they can touch so many topics, they can touch so many changes, and they can bring so many people around the table to discuss how can we integrate AI better into our work. But if they would have a group of people who can multiply their efforts, who can work autonomously and surface those areas and those ideas where we can integrate AI in, and those people could also bring the people who will need to work with these new tools, these new processes around the table to design, to co-create, to co-design the future way of working, then we could really make an impact. Then we could really make a quicker difference in the organization. So we looked at what we want to achieve, which is that we wanted to integrate these, or to explore the opportunity of these new tools and new approaches that AI offers. I saw your question, Peter, in the chat, asking, how do you know it will be AI would raise effectiveness? So our base assumption was that AI has the possibility to raise effectiveness, but only if we are able to integrate into our work in a way where people feel comfortable to work with it, like, so it's coming natural, and where AI can add value, additional value to the human process. And it is also, of course, controlled by the human process in the right way. So our assumption is that if we are not just buying a standard tool and implementing it, but we are really designing the way we want to work with AI and identifying where is the value that AI can bring effectiveness to us, to our processes, to our way of working, then we can really make an impact. So these were our best hopes to the program, and then we said, okay, we looked into, okay, how will we get it done? Because we had two problems, or like two things that we were facing with. One is that we are not an AI educated group of people, so we are not experts in AI, and I think at this stage very few people are, or there's a growing number of people who are, but in many of us more heard about it but don't know how to use it. So we needed to get inspiration, we needed to get an understanding. And what we wanted to do is that as we are getting the inspiration from an expert on AI, on what are the possibilities out there with AI, right away start to apply that in a 6-week design sprint. And we will explain you why we call it a 6 weeks design sprint. But we right away provide the support to a group of people who will be redesigning the work, to infuse them with work redesign tools, solution-focused work redesign tools that they can apply, and by the end of the 6 weeks, or starting from the 6 weeks in the next couple of months, they can make a difference. They can try and test out the redesign of a part of a work process with an inspiration of AI and with the tools that we were giving to them. And we were very conscious that giving tools is great, but applying tools requires support and mentoring, and that's why we engaged to every four people a mentor who was working with them to support their thinking, to support to be a sounding board during the implementation of these work redesign tools for them. And actually, I saw Cornelis here on the call. He was one of our mentors, and also Irena is here. She was also our other mentor, and then Elvira and myself in this pilot training, because we built it up as a training. So we said it will be 6 weeks. We will get the infusion from AI. Parallel, we will learn about work redesign tools, get the mentoring, and see what's coming out of it. Now, the participation and the registration was voluntary, so we were giving the opportunity for everyone to apply for the program. We had only like 2 caveats. One is that this is a 6-week sprint with 6 sessions, and if you miss one, then you're missing a lot. So we asked for people's commitment that they will participate, and even more important, we asked people to identify a project that they would like to work on in advance of the course. Some of them had already projects in mind. To some of them who we know they have a project in mind, we reached out and asked them if they would like to join the session. And for some of them, we supported the identification of project. This was important because it was really action learning. We aimed for a real action learning in these 6 weeks. And at the end of the 6 weeks, and this is where we are right now, we are in the follow-up phase of point number 4. Then we asked the participants to share with us how far they reached with their projects. What were the tools that they were using? What are some of their reflections? So we are actually in this phase right now. We already heard 6 projects, so the progress report out of 6 projects, and then we keep engaging with the community to listen to their progress and to support them in their work going future. Our best hope here is that we are creating a community with a common knowledge base and a common interest of improvement, of continuous improvement with AI in a solution-focused way that can support each other and that can spread as a virus, basically a positive virus in the organization on one hand for solution-focused organization and design, and also for AI application.
And maybe to connect to that, so now on this slide, you see what happened before and after the 6 weeks. So maybe we would like to focus in a little bit, but what happened during the 6 weeks. And this is what happened. And one thing about the learning design is that is always a wonderful challenge. People in large corporations have very little time. And how can you create something meaningful and create big enough infusions week by week so that it's inspiring enough, it's big enough that they can go and start doing something with it, and on the other hand, not lose them when it becomes too much. And you see here the structure of the whole 6-week design sprint was that on each Monday, the selected participants, first a larger group of people who were invited to these AI infusion sessions, they participated in a 90 or a 60-minute session with an AI expert, Philip Drimalka. Actually, he was our collaborator in this. And then after a break, a smaller group of people, so these pre-selected 20 people who applied and they had their own projects, joined to our work redesign sessions. And initially we thought that the work redesign sessions might be also that we show some content, give them some tools, and then they go into team mentoring, into these fixed 4 people groups with a dedicated mentor, so they can digest the tools we are handing over them. And of course, the idea is so that they go away and they do something with these tools and the AI knowledge that have gathered in that week. So by the time they come back next week, there's already some progress happening. As we went more into the nitty-gritty of the design, we also realized that the best thing to hand over work redesign and team design skills is actually if we handle them also as a team. So a lot of things we've actually tried out with them in these work redesign sessions. So there will be a lot of familiar things to you. We showed them how we can welcome each and everyone in a resource-focused way. So we tried that out in a small group, in these fixed mentoring groups. And immediately we talked about it and then we let them reflect on it. How could they make sure that they are not trying to change the world alone and trying to redesign processes or redesign functions alone, but who could be the possible collaborators for that? How could they use this resource-focused welcome to welcome them in a working group? So when they actually go away and start multiplicating already what we have done here. We also talked a lot about contracting, for example. How do you get people on board to a mission, which is maybe not in their job description? How to make sure that you clarify what they bring in and what they are getting out from this. And then off the people went, and next week we came back. They already could share with us the kinds of progress. Who and how did they manage to land some collaborators to their project already? And then we went deeper into why is it so important and how they can do finding the purpose of their team, mission, topic that they are working on, and how they can make agreements together with these collaborators on the definition of success. So off they went, they did it again. We tried it out first in the small team mentoring groups. And then as you can see, so I'm not going to kind of read up the whole slide. You can see we touched on goal setting, action planning, service design tools, so how to involve or how to empathize with their potential clients, customers, either within the organization or outside, how to run calibration workshops, so how to run the whole mechanism, how they are designing together with the people and potentially designing together with their clients and customers, also by rethinking what they are working on and how they are working on supported with AI. And as you see in the beginning, we were mentoring the groups in these sessions, in fixed groups, and as we were getting closer to the end of the program, we mixed them up also so they could learn about other people's projects and other people's progresses as well. So with that, we started building the community that once the 6-week sprint is over, they know who is working on what kind of project. And we already find in the last session a lot of topics that they could connect together. So with that, they were not just so they could realize they are not just working in 20 separated topics across the organization, but how these topics are actually interconnected or how they are supporting each other. So this is what we did with them, and then I think we can talk a little bit about the outcomes, Zsófi, so that we.
You want to maybe share the one with Eric first?
Yes, I can share one with Eric. So, for example, the interesting thing was that some participants were actually here to redesign, for example, the whole way how the regional sales is operating. And one of them was Eric, who brought in the situation that he's a regional manager, and every time they agree on some new work, some new topics, the country leads are asking for more headcounts, new work, new headcounts. And his topic was he wanted to come to this design sprint to figure out how he can show them that by using AI, they could do work differently. So they don't need new people, they can keep the headcounts, and they don't have to grow continuously the headcount. So this was his vision. And what we saw throughout the weeks was incredible, because on the first session, he realized that it's actually not the country leads he has to work together with, but he also has to find some AI evangelists in his countries. So he went off and he searched for people who are interested or are already using in these different countries, different functions AI. And he was working together with them throughout these 6 weeks, from week by week. What we did on Monday with the group here, he had a meeting together with them on Friday, and they did the same thing together. They defined a team purpose, they agreed how they are going to work on. And the end result was that they prepared sort of a presentation to all the country leads where they rethought how each sales function could be supported with AI. And when Eric came to present his findings about the whole process, the nicest thing he shared with us, how he had 100 FTE allocated to their team, and his presentation's main message was, and 100 FTE stays 100 FTE. It's not going to be more, but by using AI, it's also not going to be less. And I think this was a very, very nice and very strong message, that by using AI, they figured out how they could replace some functions, how they can make things easier, especially in the administrative part of the work, and how they can use that capacity that frees up from this to other meaningful sales work that could actually help them to reach their goals. So you see, some people used it actually for redesigning how the whole regional setup is going to work. That was one of my favorite stories. What was yours, Zsófi?
Maybe another one that I would share is the one of Lou. And Lou is responsible. She's one of our colleagues from China, and she's responsible for an AI agent that is called Genie. And Genie's purpose is to support our internal sales colleagues or internal colleagues, as well as later on, there's a vision for it to support our customers by answering their technical questions. Any question related to the product installation, product-specific questions. And Lou came into the training or into our sprint already having an AI agent developed. So she already had almost like the end product there. And I was curious what she will take out from the process that we are going together, because in theory she already reached it. There was an agent, and the agent just needs to be rolled out. And what she realized is that her big challenge was how to bring this AI agent, to the multiple countries and to the multiple environments, and to motivate people to start using Genie as an AI agent. And the big aha moment for Lou was that she realized that when they were developing the agent, it was a very technical work. Some people were involved, but it was a really technical work, and that she needed to engage the community that she will need to work with and almost reimagine with them what we would like to achieve with an agent like Genie, and recontract with them on how will she work together with these different groups across the globe to roll out Genie, and that the rollout might be different in different countries based on the preferred future, kind of like the future that they can imagine with for them with Genie. So what she did is that she started to create like this massive network of different like hubs and recontracting with each of them on what will we do, how will we, what can be the benefit, what can be the value that Jeannie is bringing to that specific organization, and what can be a way to roll out Jeannie or to maximize the effectiveness of that existing agent in the given geography, in the given context where all these people across the globe are living. And she super quickly scaled it up. So from one session to another, using Mural that she also learned to use in our training, she created a massive mural. She started to set up meetings, and now she's having agreement about preferred futures and what they will, a contract on what they will do together in 20 plus geographies, which is, I think it was a beautiful trip for her.
And I see already Peter has a question, and we also would like to encourage you. So this is a short summary about the case, and of course we could go into lot more details. So help us with questions. So what would you like to hear more about? And while you think about it and write it into the chat. So here's Peter's question. What is our approach? How do we look at AI? Is it used by a team, or have we started considering AI as an additional team member? We did not go into great philosophical discussions about this, but our understanding was, I think, that at the moment AI is a tool. And this is probably going to change very fast, but at this moment, together with these people, the whole or the main question was always, how can they use AI so that it makes their work more meaningful, more efficient, whatever their personal goal was? And by using AI, how does their own work change? And another example is a learning and development participant who, for example, was responsible for the topic of strengthening the speaking up culture, especially in the Asian cultures, Asian countries. And she just came and she said, oh yeah, I want to do something. Let's see how I can use AI for that. And probably on the third session, she realized we learned all together about how you can create, for example, videos and applications by the help of AI. And she just started playing around with the idea how she could prompt an agent that would create a video which supports the same message. And by involving her co-creating partners, they realized that at the moment her work was doing the right prompting. And they have spent hours and hours with fine-tuning the prompting, but once they prompted the tool properly, it could, with a slight change in the prompt, create really tailor-made videos about the speaking up culture. And they created a different one for the Chinese part of the organization and a different part with Indian participants in the organization. And this meant that in the video, the participants, the examples that the video shows, are also from that geographical location. So they look like the people who you want to encourage to speak up. So their work is very different as a result of this than it was before, when they were planning different type of actions and rollouts and stuff like that. And these are the examples where I can come back to answer your question, Peter, that at the moment it's a tool, but by using this tool, the work we are doing is also changing. And that was the very nice thing to see, how all these 20 people realized in the process that it's not just their work, but also the people they involved into redesigning the work is changing as a result of using it extensively. Other questions we are happy to answer, or thoughts, or things that resonate with maybe your experience as well. Stefan, can I ask you back? I know you are also an extensive AI user. We sort of co-created or been together part of that as well. How do you look at AI? Is it a tool or is it already a team member?
I think exactly what you did here. I think it's fantastic because many people are using it as a tool, which is great, improving emails or whatever we do, summarize things. But I think we should not underestimate that AI can be really threatening for people. And nobody's talking about it. Everybody talks about, oh, I'm more effective. But it can be also challenging because although, as you say, they said, oh, nobody will lose the job. And, based on the experience people made, maybe in other countries where it's easier to get rid of people, then everybody thinks, oh, why? Yes, maybe in 1 or 2 years, this will change. So I think it's great what you do, that you have actually the tool plus the humans in this setup. I think this is the only way how it works. Otherwise, there's a study that I think more than 30 billions are wasted every year in the United States only because of failed AI projects.
Yeah. And we see that tendency also is that it's not only United States, in Europe also lots of companies started madly downsizing, counting on how AI is going to make efficient or more effective companies work and that they will need less headcounts without starting to implement it actually, just based on assumptions or business cases. And this was one of the things that maybe it's slightly the answer to the questions from Peter and Julia also, is that yes, the human base essentially involving people and giving them the opportunity to learn about AI, experiment with it, understand how it makes sense in their work, what can they do differently with it, how they can use it in a way that it's not threatening, exactly like you're saying, Stefan, but instead how it becomes their best friend in a way to help the work being done differently, but maybe better or in a more efficient way.
And what you can experience is that in this process, as we're going through these report out sessions, you can see how proud and happy they are when they are sharing what they created and what it's not just that they created, of course, and they are happy to share that they created an agent or they used AI this way or that way in the work. But it also is creating these good examples of a positive emotion, like a positive experience with AI. So we are really pulling AI into the friend zone with us. We start to become friend with it and we start to see the value of it. And then as we're getting more complex or the more complex solutions are emerging, then we hope that we can start to look at it like, yes, as a team member in a way in the future when we get to that level of complexity. But for now, it's more for the people to be able to shape the way we are working with AI and create those positive experiences and really focus AI where AI adds value to them, not because we think in a process something would add value to them, but where it really adds value to them. We can start using.
And maybe to catch the moment, for example, in the last session when we mixed up people and they started to realize how other people's projects are connecting to their own project as well, was the moment when we luckily had one of the sponsors there also as a participant. So in different roles, people could participate in the program. And she's also responsible for designing some sort of AI governance. But again, designing it not from a nothing and creating policies based on God knows what, but starting to design it based on these experiences. So how people started to use it, where it is useful, what can be the impact of it, and then what are the things where the company needs to standardize and say that maybe we don't use all sorts of chat GPTs, but we're using our own language model. But there are other things where we're not going to develop our own tools and processes and software or AI agents because there is a good one which is already out there. And it doesn't require data protection, so we can work with them. So these sort of things are also growing out of the experience that is happening in these projects, and that was just super nice to see. And Julia was asking also, did they hire us to humanize the whole process? Well, you see, the really nice thing is the day is Zsófi, and Zsófi and her colleagues in the organization are, I think, doing a fantastic job of generally humanizing any sort of change, reorganization, rethinking things that is happening. So in a way, it was not a question and it was not a concrete request, but it was more, I would say, fitting into the culture of ABB.
It does. It does in a good way, and it does in a also, how to say, ABB is a culture in which you also can implement things or changes that you can really persuade people about, that it is their own change. I mean, I think it's true everywhere, but in some cultures, in some organizations, there is a history or an experience or more top-down decisions and execution. But our organization, our culture in ABB is very much tuned to debating on topics and making our own. And if it's our own idea, if we internalize it, then we are ready to accept it. So I think it was a necessity as well. It is a necessity in our culture as well as an aim that we set for ourselves as a leadership team of this organization, that this is how we would like to work. This is the way we believe change can be done.
I see.
But also we have here Irene on the call. So if Irene, there's something that you would like to add, because you're working with me on this project, please step in and add on.
We can't hear you, Irene, well.
Yeah, we can hear you from very afar.
Now can you hear me better? No? Now can you hear me better?
No. Okay, try to do something with that. In the meantime, I see, Peter, your hand. I just want to also reflect on Peter Krigel's in the chat. Yeah, I think also, so for us, it was also unbelievable what is possible to achieve in 6 weeks with such short inputs. Really, you can see that our part was 2.5 hours, where we could kind of come with this work redesign tools and things. Yeah, and on the other hand, I've never seen such motivated people. We've sent out my book to support their learning, and they really came to this session by already pre-reading the topics that we are going to cover in the next session. So they have really done a very, very good choice of motivated people. And to the second part of your question or curiosity, Peter, is that what would we say was part where the solution focus made or makes a difference from aside from the general approach? I don't know if it's aside from the general approach, or it is actually the approach itself, is that everything that we did in the process, you can see from the start, from the preparation of, even in the follow-ups, throughout the 6 weeks, it was all done in a solution-focused way. And we all know, we are sitting on this conference, how it works. It works that people experience the impact of it. And that's what we paid a lot of attention on these work redesign sessions, that we actually first made people try out a tool, have the experience, then we explain them, hey, this is a tool, you can take it and you can do it with your people as well. And from then onwards, it was just no way to stop them to actually take it over and use it with the other people also. Peter, I see your hand up.
Yeah.
Yes. I've heard that AI is used by handing over some task to it, and then the AI can do it better or provide support on doing the task. Have teams tried out AI during the redesign of the work process, so using it as a kind of sparring for redesigning process work? So
Yeah.
describing situations and then come up with perspectives from AI.
Yes,
Something like that.
absolutely. So we actually had
Good.
two leaders who were also redesigning their functions, and they participated in the process, and they did use AI. So for us, more the kind of the exclamation mark was they already arrived to the first session that, oh, I already asked ChatGPT how should the structure of my organization look like when I use AI. And that was exactly where we had to hold them back and talk about AI cannot have all the information that all the people in your organization have, because it only has the information that you feed the data with, and what you don't have data about is a non-existent knowledge for AI. So for them, it was more like, oh, so you're not going to help us here draw new organizational structures? No. And it was a very nice process to see how they understood that by involving the people who will be affected by that change, and how they can use AI there to think about replacing certain parts of the work, but definitely not to redesign how they are working together.
Yes, I also see that AI can provide us with some additional perspectives, for example,
Yeah.
things I might have not yet considered, things like that. But
Yeah,
we need to reflect on it and use the
absolutely.
human brain still in order to do it right.
Yes, and not to forget that when you're redesigning, especially when you're redesigning work, then whatever AI tells you, but you need to put into consideration the context, which are the people that you're working with, the actual environment of the organization. And I think that's where we need to many times, as Elvira says, like bring back the team to reality. It can be a good inspiration tool for redesign. It can be also a tool for data aggregation, data refinement, text refinement, a lot of good things that we can get and speed up in the design process with it. But we should always focus on the team and on the organization and on the actual value that we are creating there to be successful there. And maybe back to your previous question on the if we see that solution focus makes a difference aside the general approach, not in this AI context, what we are talking about right now, but what I can tell you is that I've seen many organizational changes or organizational or process approach changes being initiated in ABB without a solution-focused approach. And now that we are starting to practice solution-focused approach in the organization, and I see the difference, and not just I see the difference, but the participants of these changes are seeing the difference big time by the level of alignment that we can reach together in the beginning about the where we want to go, and so how we are really describing where we want to go and how deeply we understand where we want to go. So that's one thing that speeds up then later a lot of things. And the flexibility with which we are working and the adaptability of the approach that we are taking is helping them a lot in the acceptance as well as in speeding up the process. So
And
I see the difference, even though I couldn't prove you with data today, but just my personal perception of changes with and without.
And maybe the personal perception is also an interesting thing. So ABB is one where once upon a time Zsófi did and learned the solution-focused organization development and design course, and by now you have around 10 people who also learned that. And one of the things that landed up in this process was also that there is so much demand for these people to facilitate change processes in the organization, is that we were actually trying to answer the question, and how else we can extend the group of people or expand the group of people who have the minimum critical knowledge so that they can facilitate their own work redesign. And using AI as a topic was an addition to that emerged from the organization. So what we're actually doing is we're also, in a way, training facilitators who can facilitate any sort of redesign, rethinking process in the area, let it be AI related or any other topic that comes up from the environment or from the challenges they are having. And with that, I think we are at the end of our session. And thank you so much for joining us, listening in, asking great questions. And of course, we can hang out here a little bit more. So if you have more questions or you just want to chit chat with us, that's also possible. But thank you very, very much for joining us and being here with us. I'm going to stop the recording. Yeah? Thank you.